Did you miss us? Because I'll be honest, I miss you. I mean,
I missed you too.
2 weeks without betting on lacrosse. We had the All-Star game, but bettors in Pennsylvania couldn't quite get down on it. So I'm happy to be back. Another edition of Over and Back. And you heard the voice there. Let's welcome him in. We got Mikey Over. I thought, like, the repeat guest, after the knowledge you dropped, my guy, was like, you were like minus 200 favorite to be our first repeat guest. So cash the tickets. We had to lay some juice to do it. But brother, so happy you were able to come on here. Thank you very much. And how is it going, my man?
Let's go. It's going good. I mean, I totally botched your intro. I thought you were going to be like, did you miss me? And I was going to be like, I missed you too, dude. Like, it's good to be back. But you were talking about betting and lacrosse, so that's on me. But no, I'm feeling good, dude. I'm ready to go. We got a full slate coming up. I can't wait.
No, absolutely. And there's no botching of any intros. Any extra Mikey Over is always a good thing, whether it's in the intro, the outro, the meat of the show. So, guy, before we get into the games, we'll do our quick stick segment. We got 2 at the top. We're going to do a little total talk and then end it as we always do with our angle of the week. I want to start with the content that you've been dropping, specifically you being at All-Star Game weekend. Like, what was that experience like? Because that was like right in your backyard, man. So how was that having everybody in town?
All-Star weekend was sick. I mean, what a great time. Actually, in New Jersey, you were able to get some lines for the All-Star Game. So I took Team Baptiste money line, which was, I mean, almost unconsciously free. Team Farrell, it didn't even seem like they wanted to show up. I mean, Team Baptiste came out just swinging. And then, we took a live over at 49.5, which sold because Team Farrell just decided not to score at all. So that was cool. We were literally sitting at 44 with 3 minutes left. Couldn't get over 49.5. I mean, that's literally criminal. But no, it was a great weekend. Good to see everybody. Saw some absolute ballers ball out and do what they do best, and it was great.
I love it, man. And as always, it was great seeing you there, dropping some live sweats. There was somebody who said, I owed my bookie so much money. We need this Baptiste to get home. We need the over to get home. So some live sweats you had with the people. Man of the people, Mikey Over, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, it was great, dude. It was great. I love a little live sweat. You know me.
So what we're going to get into today, first thing I want to say, though, before we get into this quick stick segment, is first time this season, unless you're playing on some of like those daily fantasy platforms where you're able to pick lineups and whatnot, this is the first time folks are going to be able to potentially take overs and unders. And overs, the name of the show, of course, as always, okay, when Mikey Over is on.
Yeah,
on
don't be saying that U word.
Yeah, that's like a 4-letter word around here when we got our man Mikey O on. Goalie save props, which I just always think it's exciting when you have more opportunities for bettors, especially these micro markets where you're able to get down player prop totals. Now we have goalie save props. So just another thing that our man Mikey O can add in and hammer some of these over. So it's always a good thing when you're getting these different opportunities because, like, dude, when you're betting player props, we kind of talked about it the last time that you were on, it's like a free fantasy roll. You know what I mean? Like, you pick your lineup, you think who's going to be going over. I won't say the other word. And then you're basically getting action on every single play of the game when the ball's in their cross.
No, I mean, it's awesome. I think the only thing I worry about, though, in fresh markets is the ability to lose your ass. If this is the first time they're doing over-unders on goalie saves, I'd probably stay away for the first weekend unless you are seasoned between the pipes and you know exactly what kind of numbers these goalies should be putting up. It's probably something I would stay away from just because, I enjoy keeping my ass on the weekends. I don't like losing it very often.
Yeah, it's very fair. It's very fair. That's why we do over and back, because we aim to save your ass for you. We ass protected, put the stamp on it right there. So my man, let's get into some of these games. Saturday at 5, start off here with our quick sticks, and we're going to start with both of the 2.5 point favorites, because typically we'll see 1.5 point spreads. If you get a 2.5, it's rare that we're going to get 2 in one weekend, and we have just that. We'll start with this Saturday game between Atlas and Redwoods. 2.5 point favorites. Yes, it's the Atlas. I'm sure you're shocked to hear that. 23.5, the total here. Before we get into, betting implications more than anything, what the hell is going on with the Redwoods, Mikey? Because they don't really have an excuse to have the record that they do. It's just they have talent, they have good coaching, they have one of the best face-off guys. So I don't know what's the issue with the Redwoods.
I mean, it's honestly kind of surprising. You know, All-Star Weekend, I got a little taste of Miles Jones up close and personal. I mean, you'd think that guy by himself could pretty much dominate the PLL. So I am surprised that the Redwoods have started the way they have, and especially, you know, like most sports, coming into All-Star Weekend, after that is when things start to get really real. You know, you're seeing the graphics of, you know, this is how the table's shaking out right now, top four, bottom four. I mean, the Redwoods either need to wake up and figure it out, or this is probably the season for them coming into this last home stretch here.
Well, and if you even just try and look back, because now we're starting to see teams playing, a team for the second go around. You know what I mean? So sure, you can't just look at the last matchup and say, well, this is how this one went, stamp it on. It's how the next one's going to go. But 17-11 for Atlas. I mean, is it just as simple as having a better presence in goal? Like, how do the Woods make it different? Because it'll be hard to be much worse than how that game went from, because it was 17-11. It didn't even feel that close back then. So I don't know, man. Like, do you think there's an easy fix for the Woods, or you think this could be a runaway for the Bulls?
I mean, yeah, I think the quick fix, easy fix is probably you find Jeff Teat in the parking lot, you mug him. You probably break one of his ankles. You find Baptiste, if he's playing, you make sure those wrists are broken so he can't win any face-offs. And then maybe you got a chance. You know, maybe then you're in the race there. But
maybe.
I mean, maybe. That's a hard maybe. But I mean, other than that, no, I really think this game's going to get out of hand for the Redwoods, solely because, you know, this Atlas team has just been unconscious. Watching Jeff Teat at the All-Star game, at the weekend in Long Island, I mean, this kid is literally one of the most unstoppable players, I think, in the PLL. And he just never shows signs of slowing down. All-Star game, bucketing top cheddar. In Long Island, still getting buckets. Like, this kid never slows down. So, I mean, the key to the Redwoods is you need to slow that offense. But then also, you need to get your offense going against a pretty solid defense. So, I mean, I don't really see a spot here for them unless they do find Jeff Teat in the parking lot and get some things going there. But I mean, other than that, I really like the Atlas in this game, and I love Jeff Teats over on BetMGM.
Well, and that's a perfect segue, because that was what I wanted to ask you. I mean, of course, we got Mikey over on, so cases can be made for the over. But, you know, you shop around in some of these player prop markets, you have full point differences. One book has Jeff Teat posted at 4.5. The other you just mentioned in there with BetMGM has him at 3.5. So, are both of those a slam dunk over, or you're probably a little bit more comfortable? You know, you don't have to lay much juice to do it, riding with that 3.5 point total that he eclipsed quite a few times this year.
Yeah, I mean, the people at DraftKings, whoever their gardener is, needs to put down the grass. Because, I mean, if BetMGM has it at 3.5, obviously I'm going to walk my butt over to BetMGM and my house on Jeff Teat over 3.5 against the Redwoods, because he might just get 4 points, which is why I kind of like that difference here, because DraftKings notoriously loves to steal asses. That's what they're known for. And when they put that line at 4.5, they go, well, the under's minus 155, and this over is like, I think it was minus 105. Like,
fade him.
Why don't you just lean? Yeah, you know what I mean? Why don't you just fade him?
You want that plus money?
Yeah, literally, they try to bait you in, whereas BetMGM is like, less than 3.5. Fair is fair. Let's see if he has a day. And I will never be fading Jeff Teat. I think for the rest of the season, I might just take his overs as high as 5.5 if they get there. But for this game, I do like 3.5 for him. I mean, what do you think, though? I mean, does Jeff Teat ever get stopped? Like, I don't see it happening.
That's the thing. Is it 4.5? I'm sweating it a little bit. At 3.5, I feel like that's a no-brainer, because if Atlas is to win this game, it's probably going to be because either Jeff Teat's filling it up, or he's dicing to Chris Gray, or he's dicing to Eric Law. Like, you've seen so much that, yes, they have other scoring options, but we're not asking him to get 4 goals at 3.5. We're asking him to record 4 points. You know what I mean? So two apples and 2 goals. 3 apples. I don't care how he accumulates it. Just get them done, and no asses lost on this day, Saturday at 5 o'clock.
Mention to Chris Gray, also a bucket.
Yeah, absolutely. And his is 3.5 too. So, you know, if you think he's probably going to be, if the Redwoods' sole purpose is, hey, let's lock down Jeff Teat, why not look towards Chris Gray? Because you're not going to lock down the entire Atlas offense. It's just not going to happen. So maybe you look elsewhere for some of these point totals. But no, I love that Jeff Teat look. I think we might have our first official play of the week going over that 3.5 here.
As long as it's an over, man, I'm in.
So it sounds like you're leaning with the Atlas. I will say, last stat in this one before we get to Sunday's game, the Archers 2.5 point favorites against Cannons. You know, This is the first time that we have seen the Redwoods as 2.5-point favorites. So I think public sentiment is people are starting to sell on the Redwoods. The market is saying we got concerns about the Redwoods too. So I don't know if I would quite call this, a must win, but at 2.5, you really hope that the Redwoods are going to be able to keep this a little bit closer. I just don't know with what we've seen from them this year if I can be confident even getting 2.5 goals. But it's worth mentioning underdogs this year against the spread in the PLL 13-7 if you back them blindly. And ain't too bad of a return on your investment if you go back the last 2 years. How about this number, man? This I'm glad that you're sitting down because the last 2 years, 42-20 are underdogs against the spread. So that's 68% blindly betting underdogs. You gotta love that, man.
I mean, I was gonna take the Atlas -2.5. I was thinking about it, and then you come in here with a gut shot like that, saying 68% return. I mean, that's brutal.
That's not bad. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe the 2.5 isn't the way to go. Maybe a money line parlay because money line favorites haven't been too bad. Maybe that's the way to go. We'll have to stay tuned. You got to check out Mikey over on socials and see what the 2-teamer he'll be dropping for this week in the PLL is. I know you're always looking to throw one leg on, and that's the Archers. You're rocking the Archers jersey. They're also 2.5-point favorites taking on the Cannons. Total is 24.5. 20-9. The first meeting. I mean, the Archers just rolled the Cannons. So same theme as that Redwoods game. Can't be much worse for the Cannons, right?
No, I don't think so. And, this is probably one of the 2.5s. Obviously, there's only 2. This is the one that I really like the most. And I think it is because, we talked about it a little bit pre-show. Lyle Thompson is still somehow questionable. I don't know what's going on with that. He didn't play an All-Star weekend. So that's a good break, though, right? But I did back the Cannons plus 2.5 once this year. And it was when Lyle Thompson was injured and didn't play and got banged out. And then I backed against the Cannons when he was injured and then played and got banged out. So, I mean, I'm going to trust my squad -2.5 here against the Cannons without Lyle. If he plays, just know my ass is gone. A 30 in the win. But I'm going to back him -2.5 because if he doesn't play, this game is so out of hand, it's not even funny.
Yeah, and that's the real concern is, for this Cannons team without Lyle Thompson, they're a demonstrably different team. And I think Asher Nolting, for what it's worth, he's coming into his own. You know what I mean? Like, let's not knock Asher, but you're going up against Gilman in Cage. You're going up against a team who could potentially have Grant Ament back on the field for the first time this year. I know that's got to be exciting for Archers fans. You know what I mean?
No, that'd be huge. I mean, if he's playing, it's like a totally different team, kind of like Lyle, but the team is already great.
So that's what I mean. Like, how much better can you get than like gold standard? And that's what we'll find out when he comes back. Now, I maybe should have thrown this one at you first, Mikey, because this might make you a little bit sick. Going back to last season, Archers against the spread as a favorite, only 5-8 as a favorite. And as 2.5-point favorites, they're 1-3. So you hear that. Do you still think with the concerns around Cannons and the question mark around Lyle Thompson, you think they make it 2-3 this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different team now. We're going year to year. It's a different team now. And I think to that as well, all those numbers mean to me is that they're due. They're due. I love it.
And we know from the last episode that you said if anybody says they're due, I'm in. We're riding.
And I'm in because they're due. Hearing that makes me more confident. I might take the line to 4.5 if I could. I'll double it because we're due to cover.
He's gonna alt line, move it up. Archers roll, according to our man Mikey over. Last thing I want to get into in this game, and then we'll get into our Total Talk segment. I have a feeling what we'll be talking about in our Total Talk segment.
You know what we're talking about.
I mentioned at the top about the goalie save props that we have, and actually the highest save total this week is in this game. It's Nick Morocco at 15.5. Now, I look at that number, and it more just says to me the odds makers really are scared shitless about the Archers offense. Because you know what I mean? Like having a 15.5 save total means he's going to be seeing 30, 35, 40 shots potentially. So I think that number, Mikey, says more about the Archers than it maybe does about Morocco, who is a pretty damn good goaltender. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, they're expecting a full peppering is what they're expecting
Yes.
at 15 and a half. I mean, that's a shootout if he's at 15 and a half. Like, that is nuts.
Yeah, so 15 and a half. Now, he's gone over that number twice this season. You go for his whole PLL career, he's gone over it 7 times. So I know I won't say the word, but 15 and a half is a high number for a goalie. You know what I mean? Like that makes me a little bit worried. So you said you're staying away from goalie props. If it were me, I feel like this would be the under to play. And I had to say it just so the listeners knew. But I think if there's any under potentially on the board, it could be that save total just because that's a really high number. I think it might be a little inflated because of the fear of this Archer's offense. So
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate it, but I don't hate it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's no way that I'm ever going to play it, but I don't hate it is basically what Mikey's saying right there.
However, if we look at it from another lens, the under on saves means more goals, which leads to an over. So, I mean, we don't hate that.
We don't hate that at all. And speaking of overs, well done. That was some solid gambling math out of our man Mikey over.
You can follow him. Sometimes glimpses.
It's beautiful. It's in there. It's rattling around, and when it comes off, when it comes out, it's like a beautiful flower. It's a beautiful thing. You can follow our man Mikey over on Twitter at MikeyOver1. You can find him on all social. Just search Mikey over. I know that you love this, man, because it's Total Talk time. Saturday at 7:45. It's the Whipsnakes 1.5 point favorites against Chaos. Total in this one, an auspiciously low 22 and a half. Now, I'm going to get your thoughts on this one, but I do want to say 3 times that these teams have faced in the last 2 seasons, only one of those matchups eclipsed what this total would be at 22 and a half. That was the championship game. It went over by the hook of this number, 23 total goals. Other matchups have seen 20 goals, and most recently 17 in week 1. So I don't know, Mikey, are we expecting another low scoring game, or does all those numbers just mean this shit's due?
I mean, it feels due. I'll be honest with you. It feels due. I love numbers like this. I don't hate it, but I will say if there was 2 teams that I have yet to get a read on this season, and we're past All-Star break. This isn't week 1. If there's 2 teams that I can't get a singular read on, it's the Whipsnakes and the Chaos. So it's on one hand, I'm like, you know what? That over looks delicious. It looks due. You're telling me it hasn't gone over in a while. They're due to go over. And then on the other hand, I'm going, I don't know jack about these teams yet, and we're past the All-Star break. So I'm like nervous, excited. I don't know what to do with it, but I'll take the over. I'm not going to give you an unders. I'll take the over.
Well, I'm glad that we're seeing eye to eye on this one, because I remember the first time you were on, I made you flip-flop on some plays, go back and forth. I love the over in this game because
talk dirty to me.
Some people are going to just look at the last matchup between these 2 teams and see that it was a 1-goal game. They're going to see that it was only 17 goals. They're going to say, oh, this is the 2 best goaltenders playing right now in Kyle Bernlohr and Blaze Reardon. Hammer the under. You know what I mean? It's a low total for a reason. The books must know something. I'm going under on this is what I feel like most people are going to think. With what I've seen since the Chaos got their boys back, you know what I mean? Since they came back from the NLL Cup, this team can score. This team seems like they have a chip on their shoulder, and the Whipsnakes could potentially be without 2 of their better defenders, depending on what we get with this injury report. So you're going to have a team who's already buzzing offensively in Chaos. We already know what the Whipsnakes can do offensively with Matt Rambo, with Zed Williams. I just think that I would be floored. And again, even your best plays, your most confident plays are going to lose half the time. So always bet responsibly. But I just think this is like a slam dunk over, Mikey.
Yeah, I mean, let's slam dunk it. I'm down. I'm never opposed. But I will say, though, then, without possible defenders going over, do we like the Chaos here outright?
That's what I'm almost thinking, because, you missed 2 of those. You missed 2 of those defenders. Chaos buzzing. They got that win. Now, here's the real, I think, question around every single game this week, Mikey, is which teams are going to be positively affected by the bye, which teams are going to be negatively affected. Because if you just go back to last year, and again, it's hard to really extrapolate something that happened a season ago, but it was a 3-week layoff for the PLL All-Star break last year. When the Whips came back, they only scored 6 goals. So it's the age-old adage of the rust versus rest. Which is it going to be? Not good for the over, but if you're just looking historically, the Whips have started slow when they've had to get back up to speed. So, it's not going to take me much to play an outright on a plus ticket on the Chaos. So, I think we got 2 plays.
I'm in the book right now.
What do we got? What's the number?
The Chaos are plus 120 on the money line, and they are also. By the way, I've just been adding to the slip as the show goes on. I have 6 bets now. I started with none. I now have 6. And the Chaos at plus 1.5 are minus 120. This feels like a game, now that we've talked about it, where we could take Vegas's ass to line.
I think you might be. I think we got a double best bet double play in this game. We're going over 22.5, and let's take Chaos on the money line. Let's have some freaking chaos this weekend, man. Let's go. How about that? Yeah, I'm the same exact way. I always start this show and I'm like, I'm only gonna have a handful of plays, and then we start bouncing stuff back and forward. Mikey starts getting me jacked up, and before I know it, I'm like, I could potentially lose the cheeks this weekend. The cheeks have potential to be lost.
I've got 6 bets now in a bet slip that started empty. 3 of them are overs. I don't even know if the third one got in there. Like I don't know if the thumb hit it or what's going on.
It just happened. It just slid right in there. Well, let's see if we can add let's see if we can add 1 or 2 more to the slate, because it's angle of the week time. Sunday, 4:30, we got Chrome taking on Waterdogs. Chrome 1.5 point favorites total in this one, 24.5. Chrome are coming off a loss before the break. Waterdogs have just been buzzing since their loss to Chrome. It was that 17-14 game that was wild, where like Waterdogs were up and then they were down and then they were up and then they were down, and Chrome comes back, steals everybody's cheeks. Since that loss though, dude, 2 straight for the Waterdogs. Like, are you buying into this Waterdogs team, or are you all chromed up heading into this one?
I took Waterdogs plus 1.5, not the week before the All-Star, but I think the week before that one. And It was actually my video with the most comments saying, no way he just took the Waterdogs. And they covered. They won outright.
Boom.
So listen, I have faith
Drop
in the
Mike
Waterdogs.
haters.
Yeah, what up, dude? No, I have faith in the Waterdogs for one reason. It's Michael Sowers. However, you said it pre-show, I've been chromed up since week 2. This kid flew, I'm not even going to say slide, flew into my DMs about having a brother on the Chrome, told me to ride the Chrome, told me they're sick. Literally have not lost on the Chrome once this year. So it now brings me to a weird part of sports that I want to talk to you about, which is when you have a team that's been consistent against a team that's heating up, I hate those matchups.
Yep.
I hate those matchups.
Something's got to give. You know what I mean?
I hate those matchups. It's like when you have the Astros going up against, let's say, I don't even know, let's say a Braves that are just starting to heat up. I know they're on like a 13-game win streak, but a Braves that are just starting to heat up. Do I take my consistent winner and go, consistency always beats non-consistency, or do I take the hot hand? Because what do you do in cards? You ride the hot hand. What do you do in sports? You ride the hot hand. This game, I'm going to be honest, I'm having a dilemma over, because immediately I want to go, all right, let's Chrome. Let's go Chrome. Let's go Chrome. Why not? But every time I seem to fade a hot hand, my cheeks are gone.
They're gone. No. So this is one of those like damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because I'm with you. I think the only way that I would bet this game is the money line either way, because it's not like you have to lay crazy juice if you back Chrome on the money line. I would much prefer that than needing to cover 2 goals, because the part that worries me is you have 2 kind of bounce back angles. You know what I mean? I don't think the Waterdogs are going to be taking their foot off the gas at all, because what happened when they did last time, Chrome came back and stole the game from right underneath them, pulled out the rug from under them. However, the Chrome, they just lost their first game. And what have they done a really good job of this year is staying motivated. You know what I mean? Is really staying and keeping the oars in the water. Sudan's done a terrific job of keeping these guys having a focus and keeping them moving forward. So I'm kind of with you. I feel like I don't know which side that I really want to bet, but I wouldn't factor in the spread unless, you take the 1.5 with the Waterdogs, just hope for a good game. Because the other thing that stands out to me is Scanoni, the netminder for Chrome. He just got destroyed in that All-Star game. And what worries me...
He got lit up. And none
that's
of the
what I
Chrome
mean.
players looked great either in the All-Star game. Not to be that guy, but none of the Chrome guys looked great. And I was a Chrome guy going into it. And that's why I fell in love with the Atlas guys, because they were pouring it in and I needed the over. But I like, to that point as well, not to interrupt you, but
no, you're good.
No one on the Chrome, who, by the way, I think probably is tied for the best team in the PLL going into the All-Star game, with probably the best players tied with probably the Atlas players, looked atrocious. So now you're telling me, okay, we're coming into All-Star weekend. We just got banged out bad in the All-Star game. No one really got anything going on the offensive end. The defensive end looked terrible. And now we're going to roll into playing a Waterdogs team where Michael Sowers is on the good end of things in the All-Star game. Looked great. And now we're going to have to remotivate ourselves. Not that the All-Star game carries weight, but it's a loss. And it hurts,
Yeah.
As a goalie, you just got lit up.
The one thing that I'm thinking, though, is, maybe the Chrome players who struggled a little bit or maybe didn't show out as much, is the better way to say it, in the All-Star game, how much of that was, I don't want to be here, dude. We just lost. You know what I mean? Like, we just lost a week ago. I'm not trying to play in a showcase game. I'm trying to get back on the field because I'm pissed off. I want to take it out on somebody. So you can kind of like make a case for both of them. You know what I mean? That it was almost the look-ahead spots of look-ahead spots, because, wow, it's awesome being here at Gillette. This is incredible. I'm happy to be here. But what I really want to do is go kick the shit out of somebody, and I'm not going to do that in an All-Star game because everyone's going to be looking at me sideways. You know what I mean?
Also, All-Star weekend could have had a couple too many brews. You never know.
You never know.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
The seltzer's flowing a little bit. The cider's tasting good. Just like the series that you've been having on your TikTok of the degenerate roommate, which has just been absolute money. Go check that out over there.
I'm that roommate.
I've loved it, dude. That's some of the best stuff you've put out in a while. So the one thing I will say, though, is I feel like there might be a little bit extra motivation. There could be a potentially Waterdogs feeling a little bit fat and sassy coming into this game. Oh, we're rolling. We finally found our stride. And then you run into a goalie who just got lit up, and all he's trying to do is stonewall you. Scanoni's total is 11.5 total saves. I think if the Waterdogs are going to continue aggressing and try and not take their foot off the pedal, that's a low total in that one. So I'm probably going to eye over Scanoni total saves. I think we could also be looking at an over just in this game, because it's two teams that know I have to outduel this other team because they can fill up the net. You know what I mean?
And I'll tell you what, we've talked about this a couple times, and I have been no shortness of disrespecting the Waterdogs on this show, but if there's a team where you're looking to tune someone up and take some anger out on, it's probably the Waterdogs. Like, if you're the Chrome and you're one of the better teams in the league and you're going, all right, we just came off a loss, then we got banged out All-Star weekend. If there's a team you wanted on the schedule coming up, regardless of their previous form, it's going to be the Waterdogs if you want to really put your foot on someone's throat.
I'm thinking the exact same. So again, I'm staying away from the side. I lean towards that over. The thing I really like in this game is Scanoni going over 11.5. So I guess to find your official plays, where can we find you on TikTok and social, Mikey?
Yeah, so Mikey Over 1 on Twitter is where all the plays are going to be. And then Mikey Over on TikTok is where, if you want the pageantry, the plays will also be there. So go check them out. I also, like you said, just started a series about having a degenerate roommate that, is more fun to make than you'd think. So make sure you go check that out too.
And spoiler alert, you do want the pageantry. It is the lock of the century. Head on over there and see that. Well, Mikey, I know it was short notice, man. As always, absolutely crushed it. You're still the odds-on favorite to be the 3-time guest on Over and Back. So we'll see.
Bring it back.
Can we make it 3? So, brother, appreciate you as always, man. Thank you.
Of course, bro. I love being on.
Absolutely. So that's Mikey Over. I'm Dan Alexander. That's going to do it for us on another edition of Over and Back. Want to remind you, make sure you're betting responsibly. And if you like the show, hop in the comments. Let us know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow us on all socials. And until episode 7, where we are going to have a beastly guest. That's all I'm saying. There's a little tease right there. Hopefully we're talking to you then with a little bit more cash in our pocket. And until then, we'll talk to you on Over and Back.
Talk to you.